Hey everyone, I'm Dave. We're taking a look inside my computer. Today we're going to explore the new Friedman BE-100 guitar amp plugin. I have a real BE-100 sitting back here that I used on the last Steve Vai World Tour. Hundreds of shows day in and day out. With that kind of experience, you really get to know a piece of gear, and it quickly became my favorite amp. Even at home at lower volumes, it continues to impress me every day. So when I heard there was a plug-in version coming out, I was really happy because sometimes you're not in a situation where you can mic up a cabinet. So if I can get some of those Friedman tones direct in the box, that's an awesome thing for sure. So we're going to twist the knobs, we're going to play through everything. Of course, the only thing that matters is how does it sound. The second half, I'm going to play through a few musical situations so we can hear it in context. But first things first, when you look at the plugin, it does look like the real amp, and that is inspiring to me anyway. It's laid out pretty much like the real amp. We have our EQ section, presence, bass, middle, treble. There's a master volume, gain for your distorted channel. It does have a clean channel as well, so there's your volume with a 2-band EQ. Here's a bunch of mods that are real mods that Dave does on his amps, and we're going to play through all this. The fat mod, engage that, things get really fat, great for single coils. Your C45 mod scoops things out a little bit in the mid-range. The saturation mod is brilliant. I do use it, especially at low volumes on the real amp, because you know a tube amp's essence comes from cranking it and letting those tubes compress, right? At lower volumes, that magic kind of goes away. So this modification gives you that compression and a bit more gain, which results in that tube amp gooey awesomeness at any volume. That's a great mod. The voice mod, very subtle. I believe to the left, it is a bit darker. To the right, it's going to brighten things up a little bit. The bright switch is for the clean channel only, just 3 different levels of brightness. And then you have your channel switch here, clean BE and HBE. The HBE channel just adds an extra gain stage. So that's the layout, really simple here. We're going to play through it. I'm direct into the computer here. This is a PRS 513, which I chose because it does a lot of stuff, true single coil mode to humbucker mode, so we'll play through everything. Here's the guitar as it is with these settings. Now I am in single coil mode here. And I mean, it sounds great. It sounds like the real thing, actually. So let's twist some of these knobs here. Let's go to the presence one. These are very musical things, and this is what is really important with a plugin, and even on real amps, when the knobs do something, when they do what they're supposed to be doing. You know, that's what I look for. I love that stuff. All right, there's the presence. Let's twist the bass. Adds a lot of nice meat underneath your notes. Or if you have a bassy instrument, you cut it, and it does a really nice job. Let's listen to some chords. Get a nice kind of lo-fi retro sound by taking out your bass. And again, if you kind of have a guitar that's a little bit lacking on the bass through the pickups, you can crank that up. Mids. Scoops them very nicely, or if you want to make them very accentuated. You know, crank your mids, your guitar's going to cut through a mix. Usually leave those pretty much right at the middle. And our treble. smooths out that high end, you know, which I like a lot. We have our master volume. Now, what you're going to notice is it's not just about volume. The rest of the amp reacts as well. Again, just like a real tube amp, which is very important. We have our gain. Now with Dave's amps, this is what I love, and I love that they put a lot of time into this plugin because it's doing the same thing. When you pull down the gain, you know, the amp still has a lot of personality to it. So in this setting here, it's got just, you know, it's got that little bit of dirt, but it's very touch sensitive. It's just a really cool thing. Let's dime it up here. You know, very cool. And you know, that's the thing about guitar modeling. A lot of times when you're up there in that high gain, everything falls apart, I think, as we know by now. But this is really... This really holds itself together very nicely. Okay, let's go through some of the mods here. We'll go back into single coil mode here on the guitar. And if you do hear a bit of, you know, noise, these are true single coils, so they are noisy. But they have that sound. So if I can gauge the fat mod here, you know, you can feel those notes getting nice and fat, and it sounds great. Let's check out the C45 here. It's subtle. So again, it does scoop out the mid-range just a little bit. All right, so here's the saturation mod. This one's my favorite. Because it's not just the sound, it is the feel also. It does get chewy, it gets nice and compressed. Of course, when it's off, more of the frequency range is going to come through, so it's a bit more mid-rangey because it's not being as compressed. Here it is off. And also, because it is being compressed, you'll probably notice the volume comes down a little bit. You just compensate by bringing the master volume back up. So those are the mods that are on the Dirty channel. Oh, sorry, there's one more, the voice mod. Again, it's subtle. When it's over here on the right, it's supposed to be a little brighter. And it's there, it's just subtle. All right, let's take a listen to the clean channel. And right now it's on the brightest mode. Clean it up a little bit. So with each of those bright switches, you can hear it getting a little bit more rolled off on the high end. On my real BE-100, I do keep it the bright switch all the way over because it does have a really nice sheen to it. Get extreme with those with these EQ settings as well. So again, what I was saying was, you know, these EQs are very useful. They're very musical. You can tailor if you have a single coil or a P90 or a low or high output humbucker. The plugin's doing what your real amp would be doing by compensating and complementing the tones that you're getting from your guitar, and then you can tweak from there. That's a really cool thing. Well, that is hard to do with modeling. Okay, let's take a look at the HBE. So that's the HBE at those settings. That's the BE. So it does have more gain. Let's crank the gain so we can hear that a little more pronounced. Yeah, awesome. It sounds great. Okay, so that's the front side of the amp and the tones. Let's switch back here. You see this effects rack. That kind of takes us to a few more settings that we have here. It does have a noise gate on it, which is really useful, especially at higher gain, as we know. So that's it without it. It's really not bad. And there it is with it. And there's a couple of different thresholds and range that you can set to tailor it. It's really a usable noise gate. Some of them are really harsh and not too friendly to your touch. This one has been on the whole time that I've been playing so far, so you've been hearing how you can make the amp really interact and be touch sensitive with the noise gate on. Over here we've got a couple of other settings. It's called tight and smooth. The tight part, and it's set right now to 50. If you've got an overly bassy guitar, you know, you can engage this either pre or post, and you can read on Universal Audio's site to dive deeper into all this stuff. I'm just kind of touching the points here. You can shave off anything under 50. It's going to roll that off. And the smoothness does the opposite on the high end. If you've got a brittle and harsh guitar, you can use this and roll off some of that high end. That's what that does. Over here, well, we'll come to that one last. Down here is a really cool thing. You know, this plugin was developed, of course, in partnership with Friedman, but it was developed by Brainworx, who makes amazing plugins. And it is served up on the Universal Audio UAD platform. I think by now everybody knows UAD's platform is the best as far as plugins are concerned, again, at least in my opinion. But the cool guys from Brainworx, who have an amazing studio and have worked with everyone, are offering up, this is like 60-something different cabinets and miking and EQ and impulse response combinations built right into the amp. You know, we're not going to go through these because it would take forever, but this is just the one that I'm using, a 412 with 57s, certain kind of mix there. You can spend days going through the 60 whatever different presets to find exactly what you're looking for, and then you can customize all of them. So really cool added feature to this plugin. All right, it also has a built-in delay, which I wasn't expecting, but it's really cool. It's kind of analog modeled. It's really, really cool, of course. You can set it to your host, so I'm recording into Pro Tools right now, and that BPM by default is 120, so the plugin is following that, which is cool. Or you can switch it to whatever you want. You can have it, you can ×2 that. 400 milliseconds, again, you can have that, or you know, multiply it by 2. You have a mix, you have your feedback, and your lo-fi, which will decrease the bit of it and get a little more vintage sounding. So, built-in delay. By the way, do you hear the overtones in there? Again, from modeling, that's really hard to do. Yeah, really fun, awesome sounds. Okay, one more little panel down here. Again, go to UA's website, you can get the manual, you can read into it, but essentially if you've got your own preamp, you can bypass the built-in one and use the power amp section for those purposes, or you can bypass the power amp section. But I think just using everything all in one is really cool. So that's kind of a run-through of everything that's in the plugin as far as the features, and we touched slightly on the tones of it. There's a lot more to it. Again, you can get this as a demo for 14 days if you already have a Universal Audio UAD equipped piece of gear. Download it, play through it for 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna fall in love with it. Okay, let's use it in a few musical examples right now so we can hear how this sounds in context.